This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Welcome back to another Research Talks here on Stockbox with Alan Green. And again, on a Friday, and I'm hoping that every week we do these podcasts, Alan, we can comment on how lovely the weather is as we are approaching into nice spring and summer, because certainly today it is lovely. And I know last weekend it was nice. I was on my canoe on the canals here in the Netherlands, and you were in your garden enjoying a mini pepperoni pizza, I believe, as well, at the time that I was on the kayak. So how are you? How are things looking?
You're absolutely right, Mark. Well, it's almost like Groundhog Day here today, because, again, it's another beautiful Friday morning. In fact, it's a cloudless sky as I'm looking out. It's fantastic. And, we've been very fortunate with this weather for the past few weeks, other than it's absolutely bloody freezing. But we've got this northerly wind that just keeps blowing. And when the sun's out, it's fine. If you can find a sheltered corner, then it's lovely and warm. But anyway, I'd far rather have the weather like this than anything else, of course. Indeed. And last weekend was great, and I saw your canoeing escapades, which looked really cool. Mm-hmm. While I was luxuriating in the garden, I did intend to get to the pub last weekend, but didn't manage to do so.
Oh, you didn't? Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
So I think we're going to have a go this weekend, because if the weather holds, I'm going to wrap up well and just sit outside for a pint, just to say, yep, I've been back to the pub. So good. And I'll send you a picture of that too. So
yeah, do. And then you can confirm you've gone back to the beer garden, and then we can discuss how lovely that pint was in a week's time.
Indeed, yes, yeah. I'll take a picture of it for you,
okay.
A picture of the pint for you.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, today you're going to be telling us about Nova Minerals, which is an Australian listed company, but with assets in Alaska, which is slightly unusual, but equally very interesting, and Bidstack as well. Isn't that right, Alan?
That's great, Mark. Yes, indeed. It's so I'll start with Nova Minerals, and this is a really interesting company. It's obviously primarily ASX listed. The company's based in Melbourne. It's also on the OTC venture market in the US, and also on the Frankfurt Exchange too. And as investors will know, particularly with Canadian and American mining stocks, there's a huge amount of interest from the European investors trading shares on the Frankfurt Exchange. So Nova Minerals, the company has a flagship project, which is based in the Tintina Gold Belt in southern Alaska. And this gold belt runs all the way through from the Yukon Territories, which is adjacent to Northern Territories in Canada, and obviously runs into Alaska. And it's a huge mining area, but it seems to somehow have been missed by a lot of investors in regard to its potential. And Nova Mining is part of the Alaska Miners Association, and there are companies like Newmont Mining, Barrick Gold, and Kinross, and all of the big guys are here, busy, active in this territory. Nova Minerals have a great asset, which is within an area called the Estelle Gold District. And the Estelle Gold District covers some 346 kilometers on state Alaska lands. That's approximately 125 square miles. And it consists of 346 separate mining claims. And these include Korbel, that's Korbel, Korbel Main. And Korbel consists of a number of projects, Block A, B, C, D, Isabella, Cathedral, U Beauty, which is fantastic. I love that. And of course, not forgetting Sweet Jenny.
Don't forget Sweet Jenny.
Can't forget Sweet Jenny. No, indeed. The other projects on the Estelle Gold Project licensed territory include Stony, Tomahawk, Kidd, T5, Trundle, Mount Estelle, Shoeshine, Train, Emerald, RPM, and Revelation. And the company's been working hard, and it's transitioned from explorer to project developer in its most recent announcement, and that's because the company has substantially upgraded the JORC resource estimate there for gold that's on its licensed territory. It's increased the JORC estimate by 2 million ounces since 2019, and now has a JORC estimate of 4.7 million ounces of gold there in the ground. So in terms of location, I've said it's southern Alaska. It's about 110 miles from Anchorage, which of course is South Alaska on the coast, and there is an airstrip about 9 miles away from the Estelle territory, where there is a year-round campsite there. There's an airstrip called the Whiskey Bravo airstrip, and there is also an all-weather, all-year road being built close to the territories too. So in terms of access, access is improving all the time. And I mentioned, of course, this is big mining territory. Nova is part of this Alaska Miners Association. And within that, you've got various gold mines. Fort Knox Gold Mine, which is run by Kinross Gold, that's got some 5.6 million ounces of gold in the ground. You've got the Eagle Mine, which is some 5.3 million ounces, run by Victoria Gold Corporation. And in addition to that, you've got the Casino Mine, which is lower grade gold, but some 17.8 million ounces, and the Whistler Mine with 6.4 million ounces, all operated by the big players in the industry. So in order to access and process the gold, they use a gold leach recovery process, and the recent work that's been undertaken by Nova in this regard has resulted in average recoveries of 76% of the ore processed through using leaching, and the company said it supports their expectations of developing a future low strip bulk mining heap leach mining operation. The company's progressed this asset over the past year. I've looked at the news flow and gone back over the news flow, and the shares were suspended. Shares were suspended in April due to the upgrade of the JORC resource. At that stage, the company had completed 48 over the past year. It's completed some 48 diamond core drill holes, and the quality of the gold that has been discovered in the ground meant the mineral resource estimate grade was lowered to 0.115 grams per ton from 0.18 grams per ton, which is a good sign because it just shows the quality of the stuff coming out of the ground. At that stage, the company said that the technical studies it had undertaken and the resource growth would be driving shareholder value further during the year as the company unlocks the value across the Estelle project. And let's not forget, this is just a very small. It's about 3 or 4% of the total Estelle Gold Project licensed territory owned by the company. For the rest of the year, what the company will be doing, it will be undertaking a preliminary economic assessment of the Corbel prospect as a working mine. In addition to the Corbel prospect, they have the RPM prospect, and they will be undertaking diamond drilling on the RPM prospect on the Estelle territory in Q2 this year. So we'll be hearing about that very shortly. And they expect to produce a mineral resource estimate from that the RPM prospect in 2021. Also, they're prioritizing the other ones with the fantastic names that we discussed: Shoeshine, Stony, T5, and Train. There's some 20 miles of strike length across those territories, and they will be prioritizing those and paying attention to developing those prospects during this year. So this is a huge prospect, and obviously the share price action this year has certainly started to reflect the increased value in that. The company currently has a market cap of 250 million Australian dollars. So that's well over 100 million in sterling terms. Shares are trading currently at 0.1 or 15 cents. They traded at a high of 24 cents and traded sort of below 0.1 cent as a year low. So very much maintaining the value, certainly across the previous 6 months. And that's really a summary of the Estelle project to date. So we're going to hear a lot more news, both on the development at Corbell, RPM, and the Shushan, Stony, T5, and Train assets as we go forward this year. But Nova is quite a unique company. It has several other interests, which I'm going to outline now. So it has exposure. Its primary exposure, of course, is to gold, but it has exposure to lithium, and also has exposure to gold tenements in the Eastern Goldfields and Western Australia. So before I come on to lithium, I'm going to, and it has another investment which I'm going to outline at the end too. So the company has a 13% stake in a company, another ASX company called Torian Resources. The EPIC code is TNR. Torian has gold tenements in the Eastern Goldfields in Western Australia. And it's engaged or will be engaged this year in drilling campaign at the Mount Sterling Gold Project in this area, with a JORC estimate due from that drilling later in the year. Also has a joint venture with Zuleika Gold, another ASX listed company. This is Torian Resources, has the joint venture with Zuleika Gold, and they are progressing with a spin-off of the Mount Monger assets later this year. So Torian is developing in value, and obviously with a 13% stake, that increase in value will be reflected in the asset value held by Nova Minerals. So we then come back to to Manitoba and Canada, where Nova has a 74% stake in a company called Snow Lake Resources. And Snow Lake Resources owns 100% of the Thompson Brothers lithium project. Now, this lithium project is sited about 20 kilometers from Snow Lake in Manitoba. There is a 6.3 million ton asset in the ground there of 1.4% lithium oxide. And this year they will be they'll be undertaking a complete resource update and preliminary economic assessment. Nova owns 74% of this asset, and as we've spoken when we discussed other lithium assets recently, there's been a huge surge in the lithium price in the early part of this year. A massive increase. I think last estimate was some $80,000 a ton. So it's absolutely rocketed in value. And on the back of that, Snow Lake Resources is set to IPO later this year on the OTC market in the US and will raise $23 million in the process. So this is going to be another asset that's going to drive value for Nova Minerals. We then come to what is, I think, an unusual investment for a mining company, but I can absolutely see the rationale behind it. The company provided a loan to a company called RotorX, and RotorX basically are a manufacturer and producer of affordable electric aircraft, specializing in low-cost heavy lift drone technology. And of course, given the vast wilderness which is Alaska, and of course where the Estelle project is based, being able to transport items cheaply and efficiently is a huge asset. Of course, the company is reliant on road transport, and invariably helicopters, which are very expensive to run and operate, are the primary form of transport, certainly in the Estelle region. So the company has this investment. They are developing electric aircraft. Now, electric motors into mainstream aircraft are really starting to gather pace. A few years ago, what's basically a World War II aircraft, a de Havilland Beaver, had its radial engine replaced by an electric engine, and that was also in Canada. I think it was Vancouver, and the aircraft undertook a 15-minute maiden flight very successfully. So this technology is really developing, and given the drive for electric vehicle technology, and of course, with the Snow Lake asset set to become a potential provider to companies such as Tesla for the batteries that are required, this is I think it's strategically a very canny investment by the company into this technology. So to summarize that, just going to come to the board now. We've got the company is run by a fairly mercurial fellow known as Chris Gattison, and Chris has some 20 years experience in the industry as a professional geologist. He's already worked in Alaska with Newmont Mining, and also work with Newmont on a number of assets in Indonesia, notably the Batu Hijau copper gold project, as well as other assets, the Oxiana Sepon mine and the Pan Australia mine in Laos. A lot of experience. We have the chairman, David Hersham, who is educated at Oxford Uni, former De Beers, and then a number of gentlemen who have been appointed recently, who bring a lot of experience to the company, namely Louis Simmons, who's joined over in 2017 and has a lot of experience. He's also director of Snow Lake Resources, and a gentleman called Colin Belshaw, who joined the board at the end of last year and has a huge amount of experience working corporate positions around the world, Navan Mining, Kinross, Golden Star Resources, Banro Corporation. I mean, that's a hugely impressive CV there. And so I think the collective group of people running the company are more than capable and have really blazed a trail in developing the Nova assets so far. So, in summary, a very exciting year in prospect. And of course, this company traded on the ASX, so you can go to your broker and you can sign the documents, recognizing that you are trading outside of the normal exchange, and away you go.
Yeah, not too hard to set up to do that for UK investors. And Alaska, easily overlooked, I think, Alan, isn't it? I certainly never even considered it, really, until we started talking to Christopher there. But we had him on a podcast just recently, and it's he has a lot of experience in Western Australia, and we all know what's going on there. It looks like the surface of Mars with water, though. But
yes.
But so many huge projects going. I mean, huge. And even when they keep finding more, they go deeper or they move on a little bit further. And he was saying, it's kind of like that in Alaska. Okay, the terrain is different, but it's easily overlooked, I think.
Well, it is, and I think I mentioned earlier in the talk the Nova part of the Alaska Miners Association. Of course, these include the members include Kinross and Newmont and all the big players in the industry. And the Alaska Miners Association are really raising the profile of Alaska as a mining region with huge potential, and it's a vast territory. Oddly enough, in another life, I've followed. Well, I'm connected with several guys in the US who basically tour on motorcycles, and a lot of these guys have toured Alaska, and they're great photographers. And the roads there, the environment, it just looks amazing, and it's just this huge wilderness. So the assets that must be there under the ground are almost limitless, and I think Nova looked like a really good company to get involved with because they've already proven up this asset. They've increased the tonnage in the ground. I mean, 4.7 million ounces now versus versus half that, just over half that in 2019. So, and the Corbell asset is only a tiny part of the Estelle Gold District in total, which of course where of course Nova have have their license. So, but I'm also really fascinated by the other investments too. You know, there's a good cross section there, and particularly the investment into Rotor-X, which I think is a very long-sighted investment and could really pay dividends in the future. And of course, they can Rotor-X will be selling that technology in a few years' time to all the big mining corporations in the area.
Exactly. Yeah, it seems a bit left field, but when you actually look at why they've got into that, it makes perfect sense. When you said about all the heavy gear they got to lift using ordinary helicopters, which is very expensive, and it's not too difficult to imagine, you know, scenes from Blade Runner, for example, where people travel. That's in my mind because well, that's something I did recently. But yeah, people traveling around with drones, you know, just as a normal thing. Yeah, I think it'll be our lifetime it'll happen. So it's not, you know, it's not too out of the realms of possibility.
It's already happening. I mean, you can go on YouTube and see these drones capable of carrying humans, and guys are just flying it around the airfield. So battery technology has come a long way. It's got to go a bit further, but I think certainly for me the most significant flight was that de Havilland Beaver. Is it basically World War II float plane? They took the big Pratt and Whitney rotary engine out and stuck an electric engine in there, and it was fine. So the technology is pretty well there. It's just got to be refined and improved. And I think the biggest challenge is weight. But of course, battery technology is improving. Batteries become lighter and more powerful, and that problem is by and large solved.
Yeah. Good. Okay. And Christopher, if you haven't listened to the podcast, the Market Musings podcast, I'd recommend it. Christopher is very good to listen to, and he loves rocks. He's always had a calling to that area, despite trying a different career initially. He always felt the calling, and I don't think he would get involved in a project that wasn't very exciting, particularly coming from all of his wealth of experience in Western Australia there. So yeah, thank you very much, Alan. I think a good investment opportunity there for Nova, for people looking for something a little bit different. Take a look at Alaska. But let's go on to the next company that you are going to talk to us about today, and that is Bidstack.
It is indeed. Well, Bidstack we've spoken about before, and it's diametrically opposed to Nova Mining in so many ways. But it's this company has always held a great deal of interest to me. I'm a shareholder in it too, and so the company are engaged in gaming, and of course one of the big challenges for advertisers now is, of course we're in an environment where we watch box sets, and if there are any ads come up, we can just fast forward through them, so we don't get to see them. And we've spoken about other companies that have advertising or the advertising capability of dropping products into live film. And the gaming market, of course, really has been largely overlooked in that regard. But Bidstack have been the first to market with a platform, a generic platform that it's an agnostic platform which serves advertising to and dynamic ad placement to mobile platforms. So, of course, the great thing is with this that once you're gaming online, if you're in a driving game or a football game, you'll see the hoardings, or you might see banners on skyscrapers. All of these ad spaces can now be utilized to serve ads to the community of gamers. And gaming is massive. I mean, we've spoken about gaming before, and I mean, to be honest, it's not something I get involved in, but I recognise the huge growth potential and the way people play it. We've got family members who get involved in gaming, and my son in particular, he'll spend hours online playing with his friends, shooting up some aliens somewhere in the universe. But anyway, I mean, this is the marketplace is about 170 billion currently, growing at 13% per annum. It's going to be some 256 billion in terms of value by 2025. So what Bidstack have done, they because it's a new platform, a new technology, they've gone through a validation process. They've worked with the leading names like Dentsu, and undertaken case studies with Unilever, Audi, the BBC, Vodafone, pretty well every major brand you can think of. And the process has been slow because the ability to validate between what are genuine page impressions, so when you've got somebody that's genuinely playing the game, and page impressions that can't be verified, have been difficult. But last year, the company collaborated with Oracle on a project called Moat, which is a project to verify the integrity of the data in a campaign that's served. And the company's gone through the process to the point where the mode traffic validation that was undertaken in April this year with Dentsu's D-Game Football Manager delivered over 99% GIVT, that's general invalid traffic, against general invalid traffic, which is 3.5 times better than industry standards. GIVT, those are impressions that are identified as invalid traffic. So a 99% delivery in against that is a very strong metric, and that really is a sign of just how far Bidstack have come. If we look at the share price and the valuation, the company's currently got a valuation of just 20 million, and that's down from a much higher valuation earlier in the year. Now we'll see. If we look at the share price performance, shares have traded as high as 14p on the year, and they've been a year low of 3.6p, and they're currently at 5.2p. So a modest valuation given the announcement that they made earlier this week with the update, the annual statement, the AGM statement. The shares blipped in at the end of last year in the run up to the full year results, and then when the results came out, they fell back. Nonetheless, the company generated revenues of 1.7 million versus 140,000 previously, and ended the year with 2.7 million cash in the bank. And I mentioned all the names that the company is working with: Auto Publicis, Omnicom, Interpublic, Accenture, Havas. These are all the key major advertising agencies throughout the world. So in the statement, the company said that it has seen strong momentum the first quarter of the year with 14 new games added, increasing accessibility for media buyers through partners and global DSP strategy. The company, Verizon, joined the approved partner network in March, which gives access to the Nordic and the Netherlands. And Bidstack also won an award in April. Brand activations were recognized in Campaign Media Awards, where it won a Fashion and Beauty Award with Publicis for a Packer Rabanne Invictus campaign to reach young men gaming online. The Bidstack also highlighted the fact that the International Advertising Board and the UK and USA had now established dedicated boards and committees focusing purely on in-game advertising. So again, further validation that this is a surging marketplace, which is it really untapped at present. In terms of trading, the company said that revenues will be materially greater than 2020, so well in excess of 1.7 million. But again, like last year, will be very much second half weighted. In the past, James Draper, the chief executive of the company, has come under a lot of fire for a couple of years ago. He basically made a forecast on sales, which the company subsequently didn't achieve. So aside from undergoing a character assassination from a well-known pundit out there in the UK, he's just been very conservative since that time in his statements for forecasting future results and performance at the time. But there's now real flesh on the bones of the Bidstack offering. the company's made some more appointments this month. It appointed Glenn Calvert, who is at the forefront of AI with a company called Fanatic. He stepped up from the advisory board to become a non-exec director. And the chief ops officer, Lisa Howe, has joined the board. Lisa she was a former analyst at Jefferies before working for WPP as their IR consultant, and she's now joined the board. And the company is transitioning rapidly to its next phase of scalable growth. There's no doubt about it. So we will be just a trading statement at some point. So I think at this level, we're just off year lows. I think Bidstack offers a fantastic opportunity, and given where these sort of companies are valued on the Nasdaq, and particularly in the US, where Bidstack has relationships with all the major agencies, I don't think it's going to have a 20 million market cap for much longer.
Okay, good. It's always difficult, I think, when the CEO gets excited, isn't it? And perhaps, makes predictions that you set yourself up for potential criticism when it doesn't work. So it's always best to play on the side of err on the side of caution. I think, and of course, set the expectation management. But that might explain, why he is being more conservative. But that's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It is a good thing, indeed, and I think also it's important to note that with James Draper, you've got a fantastic board of advisors. A fellow called Derek Wise, who stepped down recently, was formerly from Oracle. We've got Andrew House, who's with PlayStation, Will Cassoy from Walt Disney, Ad Conley, Brian Nieder from EA Games, Joel Lizzie from Trade Desk. So all these people are on the advisory board and working with Bidstack to develop the offering. But I think certainly for the people interested in the technology, what is the most significant step is the moat traffic validation technology, because the biggest challenge they had to overcome was validation of traffic and recognizing what was a genuine impression and what wasn't. And Moat has very much achieved that, and the work they've done with Dentsu on this game, I think, is a major step forward for the company, and that it certainly hasn't been recognised, by investors yet. And I think once we see further developments on this, and then we see that impacting on the bottom line, I think Bidstack is set to fly.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that comes from technology is going to be, or advertising from technological advertising is going to be a very normal thing in the future. We've spoken about Myriad as well, and the technology they're working on, which is incredible. And in fact, I saw something I think it was Myriad who were on the BBC News just this week with their technology there, talking about, I think it was referencing it was like an advert for some kind of a beer, I think, or something that was being superimposed into the Great Escape film with Steve McQueen when he's pondering what to do when he's on the motorbike trying to evade the Germans there, and that was never there in the original, but now that's sort of being superimposed, and it's actually incredible that this technology can work like that. And it
is, and also it's not intrusive either, but it's very subliminal. Years ago we had the subliminal advertising where you get this half a second flash on the TV for whatever product they're trying to sell, and maybe the brand name just goes in and you remember it and recall it. So when you go to the supermarket and you see it on the counter, you think, oh, I recognize that, and so something's telling me I should buy it. So maybe that's how it's going to. When we watch The Great Escape next Christmas, we might all be going out to buy cases of whatever beer.
Exactly. Whatever
featured that part of the film.
Exactly. Yeah, perhaps. But you're right about the Bidstack though and advertising. And what was it you said about the actually working out how, the impact or the reach? Was it something like that of the ads?
Well, I think the thing is, the actual technological process behind it, obviously, I don't understand, but the broad principles are pretty straightforward. So when you're serving ads to an audience and you're in a fast-moving game, I guess with people moving in and out of the game or getting involved in the game, or perhaps even people, we've spoken about people watching people playing games, and how sad that is, but anyway, that's just my opinion. But the fact is that they do. So I'm guessing that a lot of this invalid traffic would be classed as impressions from people maybe watching that. So moat traffic validation has been trialed with the major agencies like Dentsu, Publicis, and so on various games and offerings. And with this, as I say, in April, with this Dentsu D Game Football Manager, they delivered over 99% valid traffic. So basically, the invalid traffic in there was a nominal amount, and any advertiser would be more than happy with that sort of return. And that's the important thing. So the technology has been validated. The ability to deliver genuine validated traffic is now unquestioned, and of course we're seeing the ad agencies get more involved. We're seeing the IAB set up committees focusing purely just on generating ad revenue from gaming. So that's highly significant, and I think the next few years are going to be huge for Bidstack.
Yeah, okay, and it's very important to make sure that your ads hitting the right people and reaching where they're supposed to be reaching, basically, and having an impact. So it's fantastic that they're able to employ that technology to get that data. It's very valuable.
It is, yeah, it is indeed.
Okay, well, Alan, thank you very much again for your time doing the research talks about Nova Minerals and Bidstack, and I hope you get that pint this weekend and we can catch up in a week's time.
I promise to send you a picture.
Great, thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.